The Council of Legislation was in 2016, was actually where everything kind of changed. Rotary, for the first time, allowed flexibility. And it was the idea that we have to change Rotary of something so what it's going to look like in the future. Vision Rotary 50 years from now. Vision Rotary 20 years from now, and exactly what type of club that would be. And the traditional way of having meetings, lunches, Seattle 4 is a great example. I joined in '85, Kirkland and Mill Creek, we're a noon club ourselves. And we take a look at the people that are in those clubs. And it's not conducive in today's time or technology or the younger professionals that are coming up. We have a time crunch, we have a traffic crunch, we have a lot of different ways. And so the Council of Legislation, back in 2016, recognized this. And one of the formats was called the Passport Club. It started about a couple years out of California. It was one of the test clubs. And the Passport Club, quite simply, is that it allowed you to go ahead as a Rotarian to visit any club there is, at any time there is, but then, as a group, you can get together and have projects. You can do projects during the weekends. So think of yourself as a young professional. You're working 8 to 5, and to take 3 hours out of the day during a lunch was not conducive. So, and you had an attendance requirement, which has now been waived. But there is some guidelines. One of the guidelines, they say that you have to meet twice a month. Okay. What does that mean? It's really up to the clubs. One club, for instance, they meet once a month, and then they do a project once a month. Okay, well, what about, does that mean that you have to do the project? No, you can participate with another club's project. It's almost like a makeup. Well, wait a second, how about if we do a project, and then if we meet afterwards and have a beer? Yeah, you can actually count that as two. So the flexibility is there for us and you as a club to do many different things. We have people here that are from the Rainier Club. I go, you could actually establish, and my recommendation is to establish 4 formal meetings a year, because you're going to have 2 formal meetings at least for the election process and the changing of the guard. And then you want to have 2 assemblies, so you can go ahead and once a quarter, for instance. But then you have the situation where the Rainier people right here that are here thinking, now, how does this work? Join the Passport Club. I said, well, guess what? Then you can have your meetings another time, 4 times a year or 3 times a year. In other words, attendance is no longer a requirement. So you could have a meeting here as we speak right now in May. Rainier could, and the next Passport Club meeting could be in Rainier. The July meeting can be back over here. In other words, the flexibility is there. And then we have the projects. I noticed that you were the ugly sweater, for instance. That's something that this, it's what Rainier has done for a fundraising event. It's something that this club can be part of that process. You also do the robotics, for instance, and I've got some ideas there, and I'm sorry I did not talk about this, Donna, but the flexibility is there. You don't even have to use the word passport. The brand new club that's over on the east side it's not going to call themselves a Passport Club. They're just going to call themselves the East Side Build Your Club. But it's technically a Passport Club, and it's being spun off in the Build Your Breakfast Club underneath the same format. And they're going to be supporting not only projects what they want to do, but they're going to support the projects of also Build Your Breakfast and some of the East Side clubs because they're able to do that. So the key is that you have the unique opportunity to mold this club any way you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
When people ask me what's the Passport Club, I say it's more about service than meeting and eating. And so, as Bill was talking about, it's really based on flexibility. So you don't have necessarily a regular meeting place. You can mix up the timing of your meetings. Yes, there is a recommendation that at least the Rotarians gather to do something twice a month if possible. So it could be a social like this, it could be a service project. And I want to speak about the service project and actually do a shout out by way of an example. So there may be projects that this club undertakes, but also in other locales where there are Passport Clubs, the Passport Rotarians are in service to the more traditional clubs. And so they will go and help and support at a fundraiser or at a service project. And the example I'd like to give is when Lynn Langseth and our newest Rotarian, Brooke, joined CL4 at the Wellspring Family Services to help sort donations at their baby boutique. Now that was a project of another club that needed some hands-on support, and the Passport Rotarians, and almost all of you, I know John, you had a conflict that weekend, and Conrad, I think you were out of the country, and Gary, I think you had a conflict. But interestingly enough, almost every single Passport Rotarian responded to that call for support at the baby boutique. And so we were attentive, or you all were attentive to that need and ready to spring into action and be there. And it was a great opportunity to help another club's project. So that's one of the other things I would suggest is, as you look around, is to be in service to our fellow Rotarians in other clubs, in the more traditional clubs where they have service projects. It could be tutoring. It could be also a district project like we just had for the blood donations and cleanup on the interurban trail. So
what's nice to know is that we have a list of projects and they're looking for volunteers, and all of a sudden you can take a look at the list and you go, hey, all of a sudden Bellevue Breakfast is doing this over at the adoption center for the DSHS, which is, I think that's more of a Woodinville type project.